So today we're going to talk about something called the divine middle. It's this really beautiful idea about how the simple act of, well, just letting go can totally change how we experience life. And it all kicks off with this really cool historical puzzle, right? You've got the Buddha, an Indian prince, and his teachings. How on earth did those ideas travel all the way to China, a place with its own super ancient traditions, and not just get rejected, but thrive? The answer to that question actually tells us something huge about our own minds.
Yeah, it turns out there was this unexpected connection, a kind of bridge between two massive ways of thinking, Taoism and Buddhism. So picture this, it's around the 5th century, and this monk, Bodhidharma, shows up in China. He's carrying the core teachings of Buddhism. Now, you'd think people would be like, who's this guy? What are these strange new ideas? You'd expect some serious pushback, but that's not what happened at all. Instead, it was like a light bulb went on. People just got it on a really deep, almost gut level.
So what gives? Why was everyone so ready for these ideas? Well, it turns out the stage had already been set, like centuries earlier, by a philosopher named Lao Tzu. You see, he had already introduced this powerful concept into the culture through Taoism, this whole idea of effortlessness, of not fighting the current, but just flowing with life like water. So when Buddhism showed up, it wasn't weird or foreign. It actually felt kind of familiar. And to really get what they were all nodding their heads about, we have to talk about a trap that both of these philosophies were trying to solve. And it's a trap our own minds fall into all the time, the trap of extremes. Seriously, you can see this for yourself, like right now. Just watch your own mind for a second. What's it doing? It's probably jumping around, right? From one opposite to another. It's always picking a side, slapping labels on everything. This is good, that's bad.
And this slide really gets to the heart of it. We spend our lives desperately chasing one side of the coin, happiness, love, success, while running for our lives from the other side, sadness, hate, failure. It's like our brains are hardwired to see the world in this totally black and white either-or way.
And that leads us to this really key idea. The mind just can't stay in the middle. Its natural state is to swing back and forth like a pendulum, from high to low, good to bad. Just resting in the center, in that place of balance, it finds that nearly impossible to do. Okay, so if our minds are constantly swinging to these extremes, what's the fix? Well, this is where the solution comes in, the middle path.
In Sanskrit, it's called Majjhima Marga, which translates to the divine middle. And this isn't just some dusty old philosophy, okay? It's a whole way of living. It's about discovering that quiet space that exists beyond all the opposites. Because that little space in the middle, that's where the magic happens. That's where real change, real transcendence can actually take place.
But how do you even get there? How do you find that middle path? The how is this idea called tatheta, which we can basically translate as let go. It means suchness or as it isness. It's about just allowing things to be what they are. If it's raining, it's raining. If you feel joy, you feel joy. You're not fighting it, you're not trying to force anything, you're not choosing a side. You're just aware. Now, I know all this can sound a little up in the clouds, so let's bring it right down to earth with a story that shows exactly what this means in practice. It's a great little story about a king and a monk.
So there's this king, right? He's got it all, power, wealth, the whole shebang. But he meets this simple monk who seems to have this incredible sense of peace. The king has everything, but he's stressed. The monk has nothing, but he's totally serene. The king just has to know his secret, so he invites the monk to come live at the palace.
And this is where the story takes a turn. The monk shows up at the palace, and he doesn't say no to anything. He eats the fancy food, sleeps in the super comfy bed, and just soaks up all the royal treatment. He's totally enjoying it. And the king is just watching this, getting more and more confused. Finally, the king can't take it anymore. He goes up to the monk and says, "Look, you seem to be enjoying all my stuff just as much as I do. So what's the big deal? How are you any different from me?" The monk just smiles and says, "Walk with me." And they walk. They walk for hours, leaving the palace and the city far behind, until they're out in the middle of nowhere. Then the monk stops, turns to the king and says, "All right, this is where I leave. Come with me." And the king is just floored. He's like, "What? Are you crazy? I can't just come with you. I've got a kingdom to run, a family, responsibilities. I can't just drop everything and walk away." The monk just gives him this knowing smile and says, "And that, right there, that's the difference. I was in your palace, I enjoyed every single thing, but none of it owned me. I wasn't attached. I can leave it all behind this very second." And that incredible story brings us right back to where we started. That meeting of two giant philosophical streams and how their merger created something totally new, Zen. So on one side, you've got Lao Tzu's idea, be like water, right? Water just flows. It doesn't fight obstacles, it goes around them. It never forces anything. That's the whole foundation of effortlessness. And on the other side, you've got the Buddhist path, which the monk in our story lived out perfectly. The point isn't to say no to life, to reject pleasure, no way. It's to live it all, experience everything, but to never let it own you, to never be bound by it. So, you see, when Bodhidharma got to China, people didn't just learn these Buddhist ideas, they recognized them. It was like they were hearing something they already knew deep down. And this combination, Lao Tzu's flow plus the Buddhist not-attachment, that powerful mix is what gave birth to Zen. A path that's all about direct experience, not just reading about it in a book. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for us? Maybe it's this simple but profound idea. Be in the world. Enjoy everything. The good food, the good times, all of it. But always remember, you're just a guest here. You're just passing through. Now imagine that for a second. What would change in your life if you really, truly lived that way?
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out.